Okay, well, what I wanted to say, I mean, firstly, we are not dealing with principled people here. I know people like to make excuses for Trump and his cabinet, but these are people that will flip-flop whichever direction the wind blows. They really are all about their own survival. I think what has happened is we are dealing with people who have reached such a level of wealth and power to the point where nothing is of meaning anymore. It's like reaching the top level in a video game, but you've actually beat the game. You have now conquered the top level. Then it's over, and you've worked so hard to get there. And then
In this clip, you're about to hear a James O'Brien caller strip the mask off Donald Trump and his wealthy MAGA inner circle, exposing a power grab driven by people for whom nothing is ever enough. This isn't politics. It isn't ideology. It's raw appetite, the kind that grows the more it's fed. What you're about to hear is unsettling, because it reveals something deeper than policy disagreements, a mindset where dominance replaces democracy and ego replaces responsibility. Watch this carefully. I'll break down what it all means at the end.
what? And then there's this nothingness. So what they're left with is pandering to the lowest instincts. And they are
Well, I'll tell you what's
people.
left. What's left is adulation.
Yes, but at this point, I mean, they are insatiable. This is not about reaching a goal. There is something so broken in those people that nothing will ever be enough. It's like an insatiable monster. And I don't think, and people say maybe Russia has some compromat on him and this. I don't believe that that is the case. I believe greed is what drives him. Maybe Trump Moscow Plaza and some other, like the rarest, most wonderful promises of even greater wealth.
I mean, again, this applies to Musk as well, doesn't it? How can you be the richest man in the world and not be satisfied, not be content? And I don't know, is it more wealth? I mean, you can finish a video game and then you can go and play it again until you've unlocked every single achievement, as you say, and you've collected every single Easter egg, and it is literally finished. It's over. The game is done. And yet
the emptiness sets in.
Yeah, the emptiness is still there.
And you have the moment of triumph, and then what? And then what is the next thing? So it's finding something to feed that hunger, that lack of inner happiness, that lack of something so broken inside, to reach that high, to become that successful, to have that much drive, to have that much audacity and moxie to do whatever you have to reach that level of success. Something is driving one that is more than a desire for good. It's a hunger. It's appeasing that beast inside, but something is so damaged. And it quiets it for a while. There's the high, that satisfaction, that joy, the pleasure. But then that goes down, and then you need to feed it with more and more. And then when you've reached the pinnacle, then what? There's nothing more left. So at this point, what they're doing is they're just settling scores. They know there are no consequences. That's it. They have reached the ultimate level. And he said before he entered the White House, I mean, he was going to do all these things. Yeah. He's not. Democracy died the day he set foot at the White House this time. That was it. America is, we all of us are coming from principled places and people want to see the best and people want to this. No, people have to look at things as what they are. And he's pandering to people who are like him. And sadly, there are far too many people out there who are like him, who maybe buried those dark instincts. But they now have a voice. They now have a leader. They now have, they've been emboldened and empowered to speak out and rejoice and go and see, I knew it. I wasn't the one that was wrong. Look at all those suckers. He doesn't want to stop the killing. He couldn't care less. He actually looks at conscripts as the suckers. They were not clever enough to get out of military service. Yes. He has no respect to veterans. He has no respect for weakness. And there is no more. The hunger will never be satisfied. There is no end. Which is why we must align ourselves. And I don't care where people stand on the political spectrum, but we have to see what is at stake. I remember yesterday there was a call to Ali Miraj, a woman named Catherine, and she was speaking about, well, we should have a referendum, and we should be asked what we think, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, Seriously, we look at the position we're in because we ask people what they think. Some people who should not have more power than voting for what color M&M should be in the next package. And yet, here we are.
I thought you were worried about being tongue-tied.
Sorry, ADHD.
Don't apologise. I was beginning to wonder whether I was going to get a word in before we actually hit the 11:15 break. And an awful lot of what you said will resonate with an awful lot of people listening. That ravenous hole, that hole that can never be filled. But in the context of what happened on Friday, how does that analysis marry to the events in the Oval Office on Friday? Because it speaks to perhaps a deeper existential malaise at the heart of Trump and Musk. But what happened on Friday?
Oh, that was very clear. I mean, the thing is, Zelensky is very principled, and they despise that. He would not go along with Trump's games when he was trying to win over Biden. He would not help him, make up dirt on Biden and on Hunter. And so he holds grudges. It's that simple. It's just a grudge to settle. Zelensky could have walked in there with a suit woven out of pure gold, Trump's favorite color. He could have said the perfect stuff. He could have bowed, kissed the ring, done everything. They would have found something, anything, because he just wanted to humiliate him in front of the world. It gave him a high, and that's that beast inside.
And the absolute hatred of what Zelensky represents. Zelensky, like Churchill, is no messiah. He's not a perfect, infallible human being, but he is a courageous war leader, and Trump can never be that. Trump can never be that, and he represents something that they know they can never have, which is how they can do the doublespeak. They can talk about Ukrainian conscription and ignore the Vietnam draft, let alone the efforts by Donald Trump to dodge it, the successful efforts by Donald Trump to dodge it, because the truth doesn't matter when you're playing the game that you describe, when you're feeding appetites that aren't rational, when you can't reason people out of positions that they weren't reasoned into. So it was just about, do you think, this is, I don't want to say grounds for optimism, but nothing ever lasts with him, does it? He can be your best friend on Monday and your sworn enemy on Tuesday, and then your best friend on Wednesday again. It's humiliating to watch people like Marco Rubio dance on the end of his strings. But in a way, now that he's vented this spleen and humiliated Zelensky, we know, is the opposite in the sense that he will always prioritize the national interest over the personal, and Trump will never prioritize the national interest over the personal. That's where the polarity is probably most obvious. Yes. So Zelensky will do whatever needs to be done to keep or to return Trump to a favorable position of Ukraine. The problem with earlier callers before you is that may not be something that Trump is ever going to contemplate, regardless of how much Zelensky abases himself at the feet of the president.
Exactly. I agree. And no matter what Zelensky says, it would just be a further exercise in trying to humiliate him and demean him and break him down further, because he does not respect him. He loathes him, and he wants him to know it, and he wants him to feel it. And
it was personal as well as public or political.
Absolutely. And the bigger the humiliation. Stupid questions like about his suit and just the nonsense. And the point is, they have no one to be accountable to. They know they can do anything, which is, again, the guardrails of who's going to stop them. The game is over. That's it. They've won. They are now
achievements unlocked. And I still feel empty and hollow, and I know I'll never be half the man that Volodymyr Zelensky already is, and therefore I'm going to try to humiliate him in front of a hand-picked audience with the assistance of my patsy of a deputy who not that long ago called it more or less correctly when he worried out loud that I might turn out to be America's Hitler. And this is all on the record. None of that is opinion, what I've just said. Rosanna's call touching an awful lot of you. Very, very.
That, in my view, was an unusually revealing call, because it cut straight through the noise and described a pattern we've been watching unfold in real time since Donald Trump returned to office. This isn't about slogans or culture wars anymore. It's about power, access, and enrichment, concentrated in the hands of a very small, very wealthy circle. Look at the behavior, not the branding. Look at the business ventures. Look at the proximity between political authority and private gain. When you see family-linked projects, opaque financial structures, and loyal donors suddenly finding obstacles removed, it stops looking accidental. It starts looking structural. Ask yourself a simple question. If these exact same actions were taken by any other administration, how would they be framed? The answer is obvious. What's dismissed or defended now would once have been described as unacceptable. Yet somehow, the rules keep bending, always in the same direction, always benefiting the same people. And that's the core issue. While ordinary Americans deal with rising costs and shrinking margins for error, a political elite continues to consolidate influence, shield allies, and normalize behavior that would once have triggered outrage. Not because it's justified, but because it's convenient. That's what the caller captured so clearly. This isn't about left versus right. It's about whether power is being used to serve the public or to insulate those who already have more than enough. Let me know what stood out to you in this exchange. I'll be reading the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.